talking away.
Okay.
Did you make coffee?
Okay,
Right now.
this is the Fraser Park Public Utility District regular meeting for October 13, 2022. We're beginning at 6:01. Can we do the pledge to the flag?
Sure.
Wow.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the one nation indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Can they hear us?
Yeah.
Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Here.
Director Nyman,
Present.
Director Schonberg, here, Director Kelly.
Here.
Director Gibson's here, all here. Discussion vote, adjust the agenda if necessary. Does anybody want to move anything around? Okay. Public comments. Anyone in the public have anything to say? Okay, report of officers, President. I have nothing. Vice President, Secretary,
No, I have nothing.
Treasurer,
Financials.
And our stuff could be under the ad hoc too, so.
What about the bank? We went,
Oh, you went to the banking?
We went
Yeah.
to the bank again,
So-
yeah.
so basically, the USDA payment fund that they've been charging us $25 a month. They refunded $75 for May, June, and July. August, they made a charge of like $30.03 or $31.03. And she's still researching that, but they didn't take out, so for September, they didn't charge us for anything, so she must have corrected that. However, on the, which account was that?
The general, right?
The general, on the general fund. On the general fund, they did a $55 charge. And
She didn't even understand what the fun thing, the fee was for. It was
so
somewhere-
we've taken that to her and they're going to research it, and of course, we have to keep up on it, so we get
We
refunded.
just had to stay totally on top of their
Yes,
stuff.
it's just frustrating. Anyways, that's all I have.
thank you. JPIA rep,
I have nothing.
Kido. Board member initiatives. Managers report, well, he's making coffee.
Can we go on to this?
I think I have everything, line items.
Oh, and you know, A is administrative assistant report, so
Yeah. So we go to managers report.
Yeah, I would do managers report and Tiffany.
you have anything to report, Tiffany?
He goes first.
Oh,
And
God,
then I get first done.
okay, sorry.
Just the high points, we're down to 2 people, 2 employees in the field again. So, that's a little unfortunate, but we'll get through, and I think everything else. I obviously didn't do a regular manager's report because I haven't been in my office. I think that we have everything to do with the well and new well and everything itemized, right? Line items. So, good, now it is Tiffany's turn.
Everything. Itemized, so I can give updates. Under the item.
I have one question, Johnny, that I know there's too much probably going on, so you might not be doing it. Are you still gonna do that training that we okayed?
Yeah, my game plan is that's like 2 weeks away, that's the 23rd, so hopefully things will be running smooth as clockwork. And then I'll still go, because I mean, I got reservations and everything made. I'm planning on it, most of what I'm doing, I technically can do from a phone in Arkansas, as easy as here, so. As long as I have Corey and Jose here, then confident.
Okay. Committee reports, project committee,
So we met with Jesse Dollywall and did that whole, we did the state update meeting. We also met in regard to the nitrate analyzer and sat here while they did all kinds of tests on it to make sure that stuff was working. Before we started drilling the well, we looked at the well site also. And I don't know, was there anything like, I think, you know, the new stuff is coming up tomorrow, so we do have a meeting, an ad hoc meeting tomorrow, an emergency meeting to deal with some of the costs, I think, I don't know yet, because they didn't really explain it all that well, I guess we'll ask Oscar exactly, on the meeting here when we get to that. And, other than that, I think, oh, we okayed the, letters that, and that's kind of a line item too, but we did okay those letters that we had talked about that Becky needed to sign for the potential, well, I guess that's gonna come out there for potential well 8. And yeah, I think that's it.
Okay, and I signed them today. Accounts payable committee,
We look through the bills and we'll talk that in the financials.
okay,
Yeah, we could talk about that.
financial committee,
So Director Nyman and I got together and went all through the bond books and made sure that we understood,
I'm
We
so
had to-
glad you got it.
remind ourselves exactly how that all works. So what we did is we figured out exactly what's supposed to go, because monthly we're putting into the reserve accounts and also the replacement accounts. And so we sat and did all those calculations and drove ourselves crazy. But I think we figured it out. They're different. It's all set up for the year. They're different than what our previous bookkeeper was doing. We do need to get with our current bookkeeper and just explain all that to her, so she knows how to do it too, in case she needs to figure it out, because in the past, the bookkeeper was doing it. It's not like super complicated, but it's just like we forget. Thank goodness we had the chart that we had done to do the calculations for the principal and the interest payments, or we would have really been lost. So yeah, so I think that's all done and figured out, and it is different than what I projected on the 5-year budget. So at some point, we need to adjust with the budget committee, will or the whatever it's called now, the
Financial. committee.
the
with the
financial committee, we'll have to like go over that. So, oh, actually, we're on the financial. I was actually talking about the treasurer committee, so I
Yes.
goofed up. But so the financial committee, I'm really
we
tired
got some
tonight.
scheduling, but
We had scheduling and different things, but we have done a little bit. I noticed there was an email from our auditor saying that we're in, it's the letter is in of us being in trouble
Oh,
for
really?
not having the light in. So we need to talk about that tonight. I'll look up what that letter says. I haven't even read it yet because there's just been so much going on. And but yeah, that's where we're at. So we do have some figures for the 5-year budget that need to be fixed. And I guess I kind of gave the treasury report too, so there you go.
right on, way to move through a meeting. Okay, financial business, discussion vote on accounts payable and financial information. Hi, Deborah.
Good evening.
Good evening. Dan, you need to mute yourself.
Can you mute him? Please,
Okay,
go ahead,
So-
Deborah.
okay. We issued 40 checks from the revenue operating account totaling $78,096.31. The extraordinary disbursements, which were $3,000 or more, include the JPIA auto general liability renewal for $16,038. The monthly premium for the JPIA medical was $9,041.87. What is that? Okay. And then Visa payment for $4,412.99. Coastline Equipment, a backhoe loader rental for $3,053.50. Disbursement to Ferguson Enterprises for $16,456.79.
And that's because we bought, what, 100 curb stops?
Something like that, curb stop in preparation to the meter replacement project.
Yeah.
Okay, does anybody have any questions about?
I did have, there is something that's still sitting on our, on our bill pay worksheet. There was one invoice, for 1507. And that one, question that was supposed to be paid by Tulare originally?
$15?
No, $1,507. Well, and the other part of it was $810.14, which. Yeah, there was $810, which was the payment that we paid to D. For Bakersfield Publishing.
No, that wasn't in any of our.
There is one that's
I thought that was all nitrate analyzer stuff.
that's on invoice number 21901112.
It shouldn't be on that sheet, didn't do anything with. Nothing occurred this month.
I know we didn't do anything, but it's still sitting there. We didn't do anything with it. So when claim 6, we'll get reimbursed for the 810, right?
So basically, we're gonna get the original invoice was like 2,100.
Right.
Included the 8,
Right.
so when that comes in. Then we're gonna cut the check for, I think it's 1,500 to D, and then the 800 will be transferred back into revenue operating.
Okay, all right, no problem.
Before you guys move on, I need to tell you about a financial thing too. Yesterday I had to cancel one of the gas cards. One of the employees super tired, misplaced it, didn't know what happened to it, so he immediately called me. I called and reported it lost, so they canceled that one. So I'm sure it's perfectly fine, but it, took me 5 minutes to cancel it, so just so you know, that's something that occurred. And I'm sure he'll find it in his pants pocket or something.
Sure.
Okay. Okay, I don't have anything else. Did you have something, Deborah?
There's just one more extraordinary disbursement, and that was for Edison, $8,045.31.
Okay,
That's it.
Oh, and explain the AT&T.
Yeah,
It's after they did all the credits and stuff, they said that we still owed that $1,000 or whatever, and until I get the new phone system put in here, it's $550, but obviously that's held up just a bit because of all this.
so the 1350 is gonna bring us up to date. And then next month's bill should be $550
Right around there, yeah.
until we can get rid of them.
And there's some form I have to sign for the phone, the guy put in for Keith Bedard. He called me today and it's the authority for him to transfer our phone numbers over to the new phones. So we keep all our same numbers, so it's still moving along. I just haven't got it a date of when we're gonna do it. What date.
Okay. All right.
and then I have 2 things to read.
Oh, well, are we gonna finish paying the bills?
Yeah, this is audit, so.
Okay, I would like to make a motion that we pay our bills.
I'll think of that.
Okay, a motion has been made by Director Nyman and seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
I,
Director Kelly.
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. Yay, moving on.
no, not moving on.
Oh, okay, sorry.
I knew that. Yeah, okay, so I just wanted to read these two things, one of these, Deborah, since I don't think this information was given to you. And it has to do also with, it did go to Tiffany and to, Donnie. But, okay, so the first thing on the audit is a letter that we got that says, good afternoon. On August 2nd, a notice was sent to you informing you that your 2021 audit was delinquent. As of today, we still have not received it. Government Code 26909 requires that special districts obtain annual audits and file a copy with the Auditor Controller's Office within 1 year of the close of the fiscal period. If your audit has been completed, please forward a copy to me. At blah, 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 your earliest convenience. If it hasn't been completed, please contact me or Mr. Jones with a status update. If we do not hear from you within 30 days, we'll be notifying the State Controller's Office and the grand jury that you are in violation of Government Code 26909. Please contact our office if you have any questions. So, I don't see where anybody, let me see, so that was October 6th. So, Johnny wrote, thanks. I'd recommend. Johnny wrote to Scott, thanks. I'd recommend contacting them and letting them know they can contact us if they'd like to discuss. I can give them an update on the audit status if they'd like. That said, we're just waiting on the final updates from the board, and then we should be in a pretty good place, which is correct. So, and then Scott wrote us. Because we're really close, it's just that we,
That's actually the second letter. we got.
It's the second.
I never got the first one.
And I already responded to that email to Kern County, gave them the explanation and their response was, okay, thank you. So I think they just want to
Oh,
be
did you
updated
send-
like
can you-
every 30 days.
Send me a copy of that. 'Cause I don't see it.
Pretty sure I sent the first one to you too.
You might have, I just didn't see it,
So,
so,
yeah, so anyway, we just have to get it done as soon as possible, because they sound like the,
yeah, well, Scott talked to us about that, so we know that, so, basically what Scott wrote is. I hope everything's going well, I just wanted to check in and see how things are coming along with the review of prior year information. Do you suspect that will be completed within the next month or two? I don't want to fall too far back on your next audit as well as this one. If possible, but we can work with your timeframes as much as
I thought we
possible.
were done with 2020.
No, we're not. That's the reason why we're holding off on it is we have all these mistakes, things we found that we're allowed to fix. So we're fixing, like, some stuff was under distribution system that's not supposed to be, or it was like an expense when it's supposed to be a balance sheet item. It's supposed to be an asset, or it's an asset when it's supposed to be an expense. So we can't change prior stuff, which we found, but we can still change 21 because they're all done with it. Other than us giving them those few changes and then them wrapping it up. So it's not, they're very close to done. We just, what he requested is he gave us, that's what the financial ad hoc's been doing with our bookkeepers. He gave us a sheet to say, if this is a balance sheet to balance sheet, what needs to be changed. Remember the names on the, we had all those issues that you and I were working on, but you're not on that committee anymore. That we were working on the asset list and it was all goofy. So it's like this long thing. We've added all kinds of properties that Johnny and I looked up of none of our properties were on there correctly. And so we just need to talk to Scott. So I think we have one more meeting, one or two at the most more meetings, and we have to meet with Scott before we tell him everything's good. So I just wrote Scott, yes, we're close. We need 2 meetings or so in which we should complete this month. We'll need one more meeting with you before we finish and have you wrap up the audit. So, and then he sent us some stuff, so.
Because we're ready to go into 22.
Yeah, but we're also fixing that simultaneously, so then that'll be easier because we're looking up stuff as we
Well,
go.
totally.
So there'll be a few things that we probably catch in 22 that we don't have, but I mean, some of the stuff will fix 22 as well,
And
so.
he has to believe, he didn't lead us on that. He didn't think we
He didn't think,
called on it.
yeah, he didn't think we'd be like questioned so quickly. But I guess I didn't even realize we'd already been questioned once, so, but he said that. this is fairly normal and that, you know, things happen and that they don't really. You know, they probably just need us to respond like what Tiffany already did, so. I just need to get a copy of that if for some reason I'll look and see if it just went in my spam or something, but. Anyway, so that's,
My only concern, I mean, we have to wait till you're done, but with so many people. Running, you know, being upset about what's going on, you can bet people are calling the grand jury again. If the grand jury
Right, but we-
didn't send it,
yeah, but so, I mean, everything is, there's nothing on there that's not transparent. There's
I'm
nothing on there.
aware of that,
Yeah.
but it doesn't stop the 5 people from showing up. And then taking up all our time while they investigate it, so that's what I mean, we always come out really good with that, it's not that issue, it's just the issue.
That, but, I think normally from what Scott was saying, they don't do that until it's really an
Good.
issue.
Perfect.
Okay, so now can we move on to 8.5? Discussion vote on Fraser Park Lakeland Woods Consolidation Planning Project. A discussion vote on the project timeline, and we're starting this at.
Excuse me?
6:22.
Yes, Deborah.
Do you still need me?
No, we're done. Thank you.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank you, Deborah.
Thank
Good
you.
night.
Have a good evening.
So it just became 8.5 because we missed the number.
Board meeting somehow, it doesn't show up, and I just handed out 8.5, so you had something to call it.
So I don't think anything changed on the project timeline, right, Dee? No, we're still following the timeline currently.
There we go. I'm on
Thank you,
mute. Yes, yes, we are. And we were to turn in our sphere of influence map last month, September. I had a meeting with Bud Rice. We had turned in our draft map and they had a few comments, really not really of any great
Isn't
concern.
that the wrong place though? That's not a project timeline.
No, that is the project timeline. Sphere of influence is one of the things under the project timeline, so we have a timeline of when everything's supposed to be done.
Sorry.
So actually, we are a little bit off because we need to change that to. I don't even know if we'll be done by October, right, Dave? We need to probably change it to November.
I think we've already modified the map in accordance with our conversation with LAFCO, and we're ready to submit the map. There's an application form that Bud Rice is.
That all needs to be under another item, D, that's actually under E. But we just need to know the timeline. So does the timeline need to change? Because it does, because we had September written, so we need to adjust our timeline, correct?
Move it to October.
Or you think we're definitely done by October, because we still have to meet another time, like we don't know what, but, well, you can talk about under E what they
Yeah,
said.
I think, I was going to start there, but it looks like we're gonna cover it under E, so probably best to defer
Because
that.
we're pretty far we're in the middle of October already.
Yeah, we're ready. Well, you want me to tell you where we are? We just gotta fill out the sinking application, turn it in, and then send the map over, and that will start the process. So, I'm just waiting for the application form to come from LAFCO, and then we'll get that filled out and we'll submit that next week.
So as far as the timeline, you're good with changing it to October?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think there's some more things to say about that, and maybe we can get to that down in, I think, item E, is that where that is? Yeah.
When we get there, yeah, that's fine.
Okay, E discussion vote update on the new budget adjustment request.
We already handled that, right?
The only update is I emailed it to Lawrence, and he emailed back that he gave it the go ahead. Yeah, that looks great. We'll adjust it.
Okay,
So he approved it.
Okay.
So you heard that, Carlos?
Yeah, he approved it.
Okay,
C, discussion vote on production well property appraisal.
it's already been appraised, we're waiting, we sent out those letters. So Tiffany, and that's actually D, so, or no, D's the resolution, so yeah, C. So yeah, we already sent out the letters to both,
Letters
you
of-
signed them and they went out today, right?
I mailed them out then.
They got mailed out today, so that's for TMC and for Wainwright French.
Yeah. Yeah, the what signature receipt confirmation, yeah.
Okay. D, discussion vote on moving forward with a resolution for the intention to purchase production of property or easement. And that's in here, right?
Where is it?
Is that in here, Tiffany? It's under the blanket.
There's a blank then.
Yeah, I was gonna say-
Oh, I didn't-
Not me. Do we want to read those? You want me to read out loud?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, resolution of the Board of Directors of the Friendship Park Public Utility District. Resolution number 22. Oh, you're gonna put in the rest of the date, right? In the matter of confirming intent to acquire property for a well site. Whereas the district is duly formed and existing pursuant to the Public Utility District Act, Public Utility Code 15501. It sec the act and acts as the public water supplier for residential and commercial customers within its service area. And whereas pursuant to the act, including without limitation. Code line 16431, the district is authorized to acquire real property when doing so is in the best. That's a typo, best interest. Of the district, and whereas in order to fulfill its obligations to maintain a sufficient water supply. To satisfy the needs of its customers, the district is in the process of undertaking the Fraser Park Public Utility District Well and Meter Replacement Project. Which includes acquisition of property for construction of new water supply wells to replace existing water supply wells, the project. And whereas in connection with those certain license agreements entered into with the owners of those parcels. Identified as Kern County Assessor Parcel Number, and then she's gonna put in the APNs. Each a parcel and together the parcels or such owners predecessors in interest, because one of the APNs sold. The district acquired options to purchase portions of each parcel in the event that the test wells constructed thereon. Demonstrate that the parcels were suitable locations for replacement water supply wells, and. Whereas the district has determined that exercising its options to acquire portions of each parcel, each a well site. And to construct, operate, and maintain a water supply well on each well site is necessary for the district to continue to fulfill its obligations. To its customers to provide a safe and reliable water supply. Now therefore, the Board of Directors of the Fraser Park Public Utility District do hereby resolve and determine in order as follows. 1, the board finds that the recitals set forth above are true and correct, and they are incorporated herein and made an operative part of this resolution. 2, the acquisition of the well sites is in the best interest of the district, is integral to the project, and is necessary to enable the district to fulfill its obligations as a public water supplier. 3, the district elects to exercise the options referenced above and hereby authorizes the acquisition of the test well sites. 4, Director Nyman, Director Schoenberg, and district staff are authorized to take all such actions as necessary and appropriate to facilitate the acquisitions of the well sites.
You spelled my name wrong.
No, I got a question. Why is it just the two of you?
I don't know, I didn't write this.
The attorney wrote it and sent it, so.
So, and I have a couple of issues, so let me just finish, so then it's just the pass and adopted, so. My
You know
first,
my name is spelled wrong.
and his name's wrong, yeah.
Correct.
So my first issue with this is that we did not, again, address the easements in any of these, so we need to add what we added on the intent to purchase letters. To deal with all of the easements as well. And then, I think he did that for, to expedite things, but because there's always an issue about that, I think that. I don't know, I mean, we have to, if it's in between stuff, we'll have to have a special meeting, I guess. Which I asked for, which we do have a policy that it comes up later as an item. But I don't know if he felt. Maybe it should say something like the board, unless there's an extreme. Unless there's some kind of issue where there's no way that we can get a board meeting in time, like, but even then we could do an emergency board meeting.
You're in-
Right,
That's kind of. I guess.
but the board of directors means we all need to meet to authorize it, so we'd have to have a meeting. He's trying to do it as an add-on. I mean, or is it just that you guys have issues with financial decisions, or do you have issues with anything with the ad hoc? Because if that's true, we're making all kinds of decisions in the ad hoc with the state meeting, and then I think that, I mean, we still
My issue
bring it
was-
to the
wasn't
board.
with the financial, my issue was, that the decision was made, and that was fine, and it was the right decision. But then when we're taking a vote as a whole board, I thought it was ridiculous for you and Brahma to abstain because you've already made the decision. And if you guys hadn't have abstained, I would have been able to vote how I was feeling, which was no. And it still would have got passed. So that was my issue.
Well, I had the same thing. I mean, because I would have voted no. And that's why I said, I voted yes under distress, you know.
Yeah, it wasn't that I didn't have faith in you or trust in you or know that it was, I knew it was the right decision, but. I have voted the way I voted each time concerning the former owners and the new owners, and so that was my issue.
And my issue with this is it sounds like the ad hoc is to make all decisions on purchasing this land. The board doesn't get to do that, just the two of you.
So I think it's the rough negotiations is what he's getting at, because you can't go through negotiations for property with a full board and go back and forth with offers and counter offers and everything else. So you guys got to get an ad hoc. They could get through the preliminary aspect of that and then bring it to the board to vote on
Final
it.
decision.
Yeah, I go, yeah, let's do it. But you got to have somebody hash out the rough edges first.
Yeah, but that's not what this says.
No, yeah, that's not what it says.
This is not what that says. And I understand the negotiation back and forth, you know.
Well, it says to facilitate to. Maybe he just needs to add, and we should ask him, appropriate to facilitate the acquisitions of the well sites with the final decision being made by the full board or something. But that's gonna do the same thing, because I think that really we do need to, I mean, it's kind of tricky, because as an ad hoc, we almost do need to abstain from the final vote, because even if we've already made a decision, if you're saying no and you're saying no, then there's a problem.
But I feel like if you made a decision as an ad hoc, you're voting for it at that time, so you might as well vote for it during the meeting.
That is
You've
my
already
point.
voted.
But no, because yes, we've made a decision, but the problem is as an ad hoc,
You can't make it, you aren't.
we
you
are.
You aren't supposed to make. the
Yeah,
decision.
and so therefore we should abstain, because, and then if there's two no's, then there's two no's, and then I guess we don't do it. But I don't think that that's necessarily the best way to go, and I think even though you say it was under duress. I mean, I'm not sure what else we would have done, but I think that the whole reason that you abstain is in order, if there's really an issue with the board, if you say no and you say no, and we say yes, and we were part of that initial decision, the whole idea of bringing it to the board is that counter of having the other members of the board make a decision, and then.
And you need to look at it like this, in 13 years, this has happened exactly one time. Without that decision being made, we wouldn't have a well that's down already 600 feet right now. So if something happened one time and it turned out to be the best decision we could have done because we have to get that well going. I mean, it seems like we're making a bigger deal out of it than what maybe the situation merits. If it was multiple times and different things, it's never been like that. It's been one time in a judgment call, something had to be done. And we just needed to get through it.
But I do think if there's two no's and the two yeses on a board are from, and there's 3 votes on a board, but 2 of them are from the ad hoc that made the initial decision that 2 other board members have a problem with, it's not really a healthy vote. I mean, that's just my personal opinion. That would be like, I don't know, it's not a unanimous really that's the whole reason that people do abstain, to make sure it's a unanimous consensus of the board and not, just like.
Yeah, but
people-
still, if you followed your evening that you used in the board, the ad hoc. You're therefore presenting it in that light. And therefore you should be willing to stand upon that informed decision that you made at the time.
And
That's why you're
it's-
going there for our eyes and ears. So if you make a decision one way or the other, you are a representative. So therefore you should stand pat with the decisions that you're coming up with at the
It's-
time.
It's not that we don't stand with it, it's that if there are
But it
2 board
waters
members-
down the effect of what your input is at that time. That's why you're on the, you're on the ad hoc committee.
I think that then it looks like undue influence from the ad hoc committee that maybe shouldn't be there because 2 other. members of the
And what are we
board-
gonna do to move forward, since this is a one-time deal? I mean, is it really something we have to keep on talking about?
That's what
Because we keep coming up, I think it'll come up again.
Look, we had something to discuss that, but in here, he's saying that they get to, along with the office staff, which is you and Tiffany, I guess. Get to facilitate and acquire these well sites without even going to the board.
Well, it would
And I'm
never
like,
happen, it would
no.
never happen like that anyway. But he could change it around a little bit. I think we need to simply just say, okay, this is what we need to say. And have Alan make the change, and then we're done. All the conversation's done. We don't even have to talk about it no more.
And
No
we have
one wants to do that.
We're gonna do a special meeting.
Well, again, this is a big deal. Most things don't have to occur imminently. So the special meeting makes sense. The rest of the time, most things you can wait the 2 weeks. We have a meeting every 2 weeks, for God's sake.
Okay, yeah, because, right. That's what I was just gonna say.
So you're wording at the end with the final decision made by the board.
Yeah.
With any final
So
decision.
the director, and I am Director Schoenberg, and the district staff are authorized to take all such actions as necessary and appropriate to facilitate the acquisition of the well sites with the final.
With any final decisions being.
By a vote
approved By
by the
the,
board of
by a
directors.
vote of the full board.
That's fine, that works.
Yeah, but that's not what that said. No, that's not.
That's why let's not go back there.
And it doesn't say anything about all of the easements, so we need to add that in anyway.
Yeah.
So I would like to move. That we approve this resolution. With the amendments mentioned, as long as our attorney is good with those amendments. If those amendments are not okay with the attorney, then it needs to come back in front of them.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made by Director Schoenberg and seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson is an I 500. Discussion vote on district sphere of influence map for the annexation.
Okay, now you can tell us all the things you're gonna tell us, Steve.
You gotta unmute yourself, okay.
We did have that meeting. It was a technical meeting with my engineer here, myself, and Bud Rice, and Blair was on that phone as well. We discussed the submittal of the sphere of influence map. A few, I'd say very minor corrections. one question that we've got to ask Joan, and we want to make sure that none of her Lake of the Woods services are in Ventura County. If they are, they can work with that, but I told them that they're not. But Joan, I'd just like you to reinforce that decision or that statement that I made. So the process now is we go ahead and submit the map as soon as we get the application form for the map. And then nothing will be processed until we get the MSR done. So that's the next step to get that MSR going. And so, but we can go ahead and submit the map to LAFCO, and they will have that. And then the next thing is to, the next step in order to get the SOI approved is the MSR. So, I've
So-
got I'm sorry.
And so you need just Joan to let us just to reiterate that there's nothing in Ventura County, correct? Which I think she did already, but Joan, can you?
Hi,
reiterate that?
folks. Hi, folks. This is Joan, and yes, D is correct. None of the areas that we have discussed on the SOI for service are in Ventura County. Everything is Kern County.
Great. Okay, that's
And I just have one other question, Dee. Where exactly is the line that we said where it runs into? Is it just verbally saying where Lebec ends, or is there an actual? I mean, I'm sure there's an actual spot because you have to map it out, but we didn't. I don't think we had that final spot on the east side where the dividing line happens. Is it at the second bridge? I mean, not the bridge next to CNC Properties, but the other bridge? Or is it between those?
we actually got the map for Lebec, and we come right up against their western boundary with our eastern boundary.
Okay, and where is that exactly?
I'd have to get the map up. I guess to be
It's not correct on this one that we have here though, right?
yeah, it's real well. I'm
Because I know you're
don't know
still
what you
checking.
got there. But I can pull that map up and show you, but it's beyond the second bridge.
Okay,
No, it's beyond the first bridge.
between the first and second bridge, right?
Yeah, that's right. And it goes right up to Lebec, Lebec's
Okay.
SOI. Now, one other thing, just a point of information, AVEC, Antelope Valley East Kern, their sphere of influence actually has overlapped us in a small portion of our service area for a number of years. And that's something that I wasn't aware of until we had the discussion with Bud. It's of no consequence to us. Those spheres of influence can overlap because we are different kinds of districts. And so there's no issue there, but I'll make that map available to the district, to the board.
Okay, yeah, because I'd be very interested in where that is. So you're saying that the health district overlaps or a water district?
Antelope Valley East Kern is a water district, and they are not a public utility district. And so, but their sphere of influence comes quite a ways to the west, and influences a little bit of our own service area, actually, our active service area. And again, Bud sent me the map. I haven't had a chance to transmit that on to you guys. But
And they're not part of the home, that's physically Antelope Valley?
yeah,
Because that seems really odd, so do they cover all of Lebec?
Yeah,
how-
I think it comes right across the Levesque.
Wow.
Again, I'll get to the map, but again, it's of no consequence. It is good to know that, but because we are different types of districts, that can happen. If AVAC was a public utility district, then we'd have a conflict.
But they had to have said in their MSR in order to do that, that they could actually service this area, right?
Well, they would have to do it over our objection because we really are the primary government entity that serves this area. So they really don't have any authority here with respect to what we do.
Okay, I mean, I just
Maybe that's where we need to
curious,
go get our
very,
water from.
very, very interesting. So I just, so you're gonna give us that overlap too, at least the,
Yes, I'll include
Okay.
it so that it shows on the map that we have, you know, where that overlap is. I just haven't had time to do that, but
I wonder if Lebec knows about that. They probably should just know too.
they may. Again, different types of services.
Okay,
Okay. F, discussion vote on project municipal service review, MSR, quote, draft MSR, data collection, scope of work, and LAPCO.
Guess that's me again, and now that I know that our map is good, I'm sending that down to Stanley Hoffman Associates so that Ravish can take one more look at it. And then if he needs to revise anything, he can do that. But we pretty well have our scope of work, you know, we discussed that a couple of years ago.
because the original bid was like, what, $13,000 or something like that, Dean?
Yeah, it was right in that range. So he was at 16 or 17, something like that. And then we said, no, wait, we do part of that. And
Right.
so then he reduced.
So it was like 12 or 13, something like
Yes.
that. if I
Yeah.
remember.
So once he takes a look at that map, then he would be able to amend what he's done so far in the municipal service review, because there are some additional, you know, we're larger than when we originally did this, because originally we weren't going by the sphere of influence, we were going by the actual annexation map. So now it'll be using the sphere of influence map,
Well,
which
he'll
is,
have to give us a quote again.
Yeah,
We can
so-
Approve it.
so he will look at all that and then give us another quote.
Yes.
Okay,
And one more question on that before we move on. What else is included in the data collection? Do we have all the data collection we need to give him, or do we have to collect more data?
We've got to update what we have. The latest hydrogeology that we have is 2015. That's how long ago this initial study was done. So we'll update groundwater levels and some other things. We do have a little bit of a change in the number of services that we have, but I think it's more of a reduction than an increase. So that's kind of a minor impact. But there are details that we have to consider and make the changes.
I do have one more question. I'm sorry.
no. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
So because we don't yet know if we're, what's gonna happen in terms of the acquisition of the two formerly test well sites that now we have intent to purchase and the easements. I mean, ultimately, we have to do those no matter what, so at some point, that's gonna happen, but how does that? Is he able to really move forward enough? In other words, is he going on the assumption that we are definitely going to drill wells in both of those areas, or do we do it without the new wells, or how does that work exactly?
It would be clearly stated that, we're in the midst of procuring these two well sites. and that we forecast that the capacity of each of these wells is whatever we forecast. I would use a little bit lower number than what, than what we know what they will produce. At least we think that they'll produce based on Ken Schmidt's estimates. So, and that was 1,000 gallons a minute per well. And, we really are not thinking that we would put a well in that would have that much capacity. Maybe in the future, we have a lot of growth, but probably more like 750 gallons a
But
minute.
even if it has that capacity, we can't actually run that no matter what, because it would influence the other wells in the area, right?
We don't know that yet. That'll be determined when we do. What will help is when we actually do our test pumping for well number 7. That'll give us a little bit more information, but we're pretty darn confident we can get that flow rate without interfering with anybody else in that area. And the reason is that the formation is very, very permeable, and so that means that we don't affect the water surface to a great extent away from where we're actually pumping. So
We're
that,
talking about well 8 and not well 9. Well 9 would be less.
that's right. Yeah, well, I think, really we'll know more when we actually do the test pumping when we drill a well. But Ken Smith's estimate is 1,000 gallons a minute for each well.
Well, we're sure that well 8 is not gonna influence well 7. I mean, we just had this issue with well 5 and well 7.
Yeah, our spacing is much greater between 7 and 8, about 750, 800 feet. So we're not going to have that same close geometry, if you will, of those two wells. They're not that close to each other.
Okay.
Okay, anything else? Gee.
That's it. I think what really those things that we're discussing right now are really included in the engineering segment or the section of that MSR. So that won't be something that Ravish will be doing. We'll actually give him that information, and then he will make his conclusions based on what we tell him. We're forecasting for that.
Okay.
Okay. G, discussion vote on early drilling of well 8.
Well, I think we ought to drill it.
You do.
You think?
Well, gee, the
my
drill is right
recommendation.
there, let's go drill it, right?
We're not there yet with Lawrence, so we need to still do some work to even be able to, first we have to acquire the site, so.
Darn it. But yeah, we're moving in the right
Because
direction.
we can't do the sequence until we acquire the site,
We
right?
can't do the sequence until we imminently are going to drill. Right? Like it has to be very close to the point where you're actually able to move forward.
That's a detail that I'm not clear on really, and Johnny and I were talking about that today. I think we can, well, that's an Alan question, and I'll leave my engineering opinion off that particular subject, but I do believe that we can start like we are now with the resolution that, we're going to pursue it, sending out letters saying that, yes, we are, and we can even get into negotiations. The only thing that, if the negotiations fall apart, and we do have to have, serious negotiations with the landowners prior to, going to court or, threatening eminent domain and all that. So we get into some discussions with them and see how far we can get, and that'll take a while. And then, at the same time, I've sent all the information that Lawrence required, sent him complete a new report. So I think as far as the state goes, I think they have all the questions answered and they have all the information that they need for Lawrence to move it on up the line, but we'll find out.
We have that meeting next week, so we'll talk with Lawrence then.
Okay, sounds good. Discussion vote on Lake of the Woods projects and consolidation.
That's the Lake of the Woods, folks.
Do you have anything?
Hey, guys. No, we're moving along real good. 3.5 phase 2 is moving along. We're gonna see about adding in some more lines with the monies that we've got to be able to work with. And on the phase 3, we're doing additional engineering on that to be able to see if we're gonna be able to complete all of the remaining lines as well as the SCADA, as well as the south tank.
Wow.
Joan, I have one question. Are you guys, I know you guys put meters in, are you guys charging by meters now or how is that working with?
Yes. We have been on metered rates for over a year. If
Okay,
I'm sorry, if
so-
my brain is working right. No, it's not been a year. It was starting in January. Our meters have been in. We had to do the test on the meters to make sure everything was working okay and get a baseline and all of that sort of a thing. So yeah, we've been on metered rate, I believe, since January.
So you have like a base rate and then you're charging per 100 cubic feet or how is that working?
We have a base rate and then we charge by each cubic foot. We don't round it to 100. The meters will give us an exact of how many cubic feet a person has used. We don't go into, 101.222. We go 101 or 102 cubic feet, but it really allows us to give our customers an accurate amount as to what they are using. And it allows us to have an extremely accurate reading as to the amount of water that is being pumped from the wells and how much is exactly being used by the customers. And if there is a difference, then that is accurately telling us how much water losses we're having.
And Joan?
Yep.
What is that base rate and usage rate? Because so I've read some really erroneous things in our lovely Fraser Mountain Bulletin Board. Where people
Yeah,
are
no
flat
problem. Our base rate at this time is $49.50. And our round numbers, it comes down to 9.6 cents per cubic foot or $9.60 for every 100 cubic feet.
Okay, anything else?
Thank you.
No problem. Thanks.
Oh, one other question. I'm just being curious. I know you guys had nitrate issues and I know you do blending for yourself, but you're in compliance and your water is drinkable, correct?
We are super in compliance. In fact, the rehab that we just did on our well number 4, our nitrate levels on that, your maximum is 10 and we're
Yeah.
below 1.
Wow.
So that well, by doing our rehab on it, really made things really good and lots more production out of it and all of that sort of a thing.
Okay.
One of our wells has a mild fluoride issue. One of our wells has a mild nitrate issue, but does not have a fluoride issue and vice versa. So by taking all 3 of those, putting them together, I believe on nitrates, we're coming in at around the 7s.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I was just curious because I had also read some other stuff. So I'm just, I want to
That's
be
okay.
informed.
No problem. Happy to share. And if you guys need, if you and or Johnny and or whomever, if Dean needs to have the most recent lab report information, just let us know. We'll be happy to share that with you.
Thanks,
Thank
Jesse.
you.
Jesse, when I talked to him, he was perfectly happy with us, getting your water and putting it in our system.
Yeah, we checked with Jesse also just to make sure everything was okey dokey by him.
All right.
Okay, thank you,
Thanks,
Joan.
folks. Good job what you guys are doing. Thanks.
Thank you.
Discussion vote on claims and payouts. Carlos?
That'll be,
No
Not
pay-
till
no
the state
payouts?
meeting,
yeah.
Okay,
right? Any issues that need to be resolved before you come up with that initial paperwork for the state meeting, Carlos?
are you ignoring us, Carlos?
I'm having audio trouble right now. Hang on a
Oh.
second.
So we don't think there's any payouts, should we?
Yeah, I did.
Can
send
we
him
move on?
Everything for claim 23. So he has all the information.
Okay, we can move on.
Okay. Number 9, discussion vote update on FPPUD meter replacement project and emergency well supply project. A, discussion vote update on drilling well 7.
Boy, oh boy.
Want to feel that, Chief?
Yeah. We had 5 bidders. We have quite a spread. It goes from $1,307,495 to $3,716,488.
Yeah, we're telling that what the drilling well 7 line item.
9A, D.
Update on well 70.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we know we want to
I
talk
was
about.
trying to skip that.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, 7, we TD'd it, that's down to total depth. Last night, went down to 590 feet. You know, as you guys know, we had to take well 5 offline in order to get that done, and that was because of the close proximity of those 2 wells and the permeability of the material between them. Highly permeable. And the reason that, that's the reason that when we were actually pumping well 5, we were taking water away from the borehole for well 7. So we had to decide what to do, you know, and our decision was to take well 5 offline and get well number 7 drilled. If we hadn't, we wouldn't have been able to proceed. And you know, the importance of getting the replacement done is you know, that's of high importance. And so we decided to do that, and as of course it results in extra cost because we're drilling that well, and we had to haul water. We did do logging last night, and our preliminary design on well is to complete it down to a depth of 590 feet. We would perforate it from 200 feet to 580 feet. We would seal it from 180 feet to the ground surface. And we've got a few other details in there, like a blank section that we put in order to accommodate the pump. We don't like putting the pump against perforations because the water tends to come right into the pump, right opposite the pump. And when that happens, there's a chance that you might bring formation material in with it. So we always put it in a blank section if we can. And when we're designing them, we can do that. And so we have a couple of blank sections in that casing. Was successfully completed today. We filled the borehole with gravel, fine gravel. We call it bird's eye, which is a small gravel that gets pumped into the borehole. Let me go back and explain what we're doing. The completed well is going to be a 24-inch diameter hole. How we do that is we drill a pilot hole, and that happens to be 17.5-inch diameter. So we don't drill all the way out to 24 inches. We drill out 18 inches at first. Simply because of the type of material we're in, the formations that we have, we've got to get a hole down through those rocks and boulders. And so we have an 18-inch diameter hole that went all the way down to 590 feet. We logged it. The determination is that, you know, these are highly permeable, poorly graded sands and gravels. And what I mean by poorly graded is many of them are the same size. They're not a nice even gradation from a small size to a big size. Most of them are generally within a certain size range, but there are layers that are more coarse than others. So therefore, the well should be capable of a good flow rate. In the range of what we've had before, maybe a little better.
Which, what about 500?
We're thinking about 750, maybe
Okay.
700. And the reason for that is if we can get it, is that we can then dedicate about 200 of that to the well 6 service area. And that will help bring up the water supply that we can't get out of well 6 and that we need. And so
I have one other question, Dee. Just you had mentioned 180 feet. Is that the sanitary seal? Is that what you're talking about when you say 180 feet to the surface?
sanitary seal. Yeah, we're going to go all the way down. And the reason we can do that is that we're drilling deeper. Had we stayed at the 485 is kind of what we were thinking at first. Had we stayed at that shallow depth, we then would not have sealed that deep, simply because we need the perforations we need to produce from a certain amount of sand. And so we would probably not go to 180 feet if we kept our well at 485. But going on down to 590 allows us then to pick up more sands and more production deeper, which should get us further away from the
And we're clear that we have water at 590 feet.
Yeah, when looking at the E-logs, we can tell from the sonic log and the E-logs where the water is and where it's not. And the logs are indicating that we do have water down there.
Okay, so it's a lot better than well 8
Yeah.
in that regard, right, Dee?
Yeah, this, the geophysics looks, when we did those initial transects several years ago, it indicated that area is just right around 650 feet to bedrock. And it looks like the formations that are in there between bedrock and the surface are these highly permeable sands and granitic material, boulders, rock, sands. And so it looks like we can complete a well in there that will be pretty much like what well 5 was. I think better.
I have another question, Dee. I know I keep powdering questions, but I'm just curious. So we're so far, the drilling actually went pretty well to get down to that level. Now, once we get the casing in, how long will it take us to actually get to a point where we actually have the well up and operational?
Well, that involves piping and motors and pumps and things like that. Now, if you mean, can we stick the pump that's in well 5 into well 7 once we have it developed and approved by the state? I think we could do that earlier while we're waiting for equipment. We just have to see what we get once we get the well completed and we do the test pumping. We find out exactly what we can get. It would require the state to approve that, doing this ahead of time, essentially using some equipment that we already have. We've talked about that a little bit. There might be a way to do that. We'd have to coordinate with Jesse in order to do that, but that's not impossible to do.
As long as well 5 remains operational, I'd rather that we don't go through that stage and just finish well 7 the way we normally
Right,
do.
I'm just curious as far as getting the actual equipment we need and how long it will take to actually equip that particular well.
I think that project is 180 days.
Okay,
I-
like 3 months.
Yeah, and I don't have the specs in front of me, but yeah, it's
6 months.
it's a 6 months to maybe even 9 months time for that project simply because of the availability of equipment. You know, these days it's just really tough to get anything on time like we used to. So it'll depend a little bit on, you know, we do the test pumping.
So if we have luck, it'll be earlier. If we don't, it'll be longer.
Yep. That's, yeah. You said, you said it.
Right, I'm happy we're gonna seal it at 180 because since we've been running the old well again, and the nitrates have climbed up to 7.9 so far, so they still haven't gone anywhere. We worked it just at 7.1, but they've come up a little bit, so that deep seal is gonna make me feel a lot better.
Yeah, it's a good, it'll be a good design. It'll make, it's a safer design. Timing, the driller will, now that we've done a preliminary design of the slotted area, if you will, the perforated area. But now what we have to do, and actually while the meeting was going on, one of the hydrogeologists from Ken Smith's office brought by the drill cuttings, Johnny, that we had there at the well site. And so what we do now is we've got to figure out what slot size we use so that we don't get sand into the well casing itself. And then we designed a gravel pack that's around that casing as well, so that the sand, you know, we keep that sand out because we grade that material to hold it out. But at the same time, let the water in. So what we're doing right now is we have to do some gradation analyses of different depths that we're planning on producing from. And then we'll come up with a slot size, and that's a perforation size, actually. These are slots. One of these days I'll bring up maybe a little video that will show you what this casing actually looks like, but there are slots, and they're a very specific width and or an opening size. So we're doing that right now. We are thinking that it will probably be not Monday coming up, but Monday, a week from this coming Monday, before we get casing on the ground. So what will happen is, you know, we'll have that week, and hopefully, Johnny, the well 5 is running okay, and we're able to put it in the system. You'll probably report on that, and we'll operate somewhat normally for the next week. And then once we get the casing on site, then we're going to have another week shut down, and to drill the hole open, to put the casing in, to put the gravel around it, what we do is once we have everything in and the cement seal in, sanitary seal, we let it set. We have to set that, let it set for a day or so. And then we put a test pump in, and we pump it, and we pump out all the sand and gravel or anything that's in that casing, anything that's in any of the drilling mud, any of that gets pumped out. And then we essentially clean the well with a portable pump. And so that's, once we get that done, then the drilling rig moves off. We're done with that, and we bring in another pump, and we actually do production test on that well. And so we're looking at a week shutdown to put the casing in, get the gravel in, and put the sanitary seal in. Then we're looking at another week of pumping and test pumping. So that, you know, we're not out of the woods yet, but we're moving in a good direction. So
So let me ask a question. So we've put gravel in there currently, correct?
yes,
Okay, so once. So that's not gonna be a problem. Since the gravel's in there, that hole cannot collapse then. Is
that's
that correct?
yes, that's the reason for it.
And then we will be able for a week, because we're waiting for the casing to be able to run well 5, is that what you were saying?
Yes,
Yeah, I can update you on that. So we got done filling it with gravel pack today. They do a really good job of it to keep it from collapsing. They put it in there with a hopper and a pump. The gravel goes in there with water. Then they tamp it down and make sure that it's solid. So we plumbed. I went down, and got the parts, we plumbed a way to isolate well 5 from the tank and anything else and pump water out onto Tone Ranch to flush it with a 4-inch hose that I had to buy.
The whole ranch.
I mean, Tone Ranch, I mean, Cape.
CNC.
Yeah. So then when we first started, this is what it looked like. Because of the drilling mud, so that's how how closely they're listed. There ain't, by the way, there's nothing harmful in here. It's all NSF approved, it's all fine.
Yes.
Within 1 minute, it looked like this, 5 minutes, it looked crystal clear, 15 minutes, and then by an hour, I was drinking out of it. And then this is 2 hours. And it's all chlorinated fine. So we got it up and running again. We're still hauling throughout the night to try to get all the other tanks up to speed before I start cutting them loose, but we are running well 5 again. And I, like I said, the nitrates did climb a little bit, but we're still below 8 on that. And it might be because it sat for so long or whatever the case may be, but so yeah, so we're getting a little bit of a breather soon from the hauling. And then when we get to new business, 14, I'll spill out a whole bunch of headaches for you.
Okay,
Okay, so we can move on?
yeah, sorry I asked so many questions.
That's okay. Discussion vote on,
Do you want me to discuss the calls and emergency or wait till 14?
were you trying to get out of here? Is that the deal?
I think 14.
No, I'm just curious, so I'm not out of order.
Okay,
I think 14, Oscar.
Okay.
This is Joan. Can I ask a question in regards to this topic?
Yes.
Yes.
The well stopped drilling at 590, but you had not hit bedrock. Was there a reason for not going down further?
yeah, we didn't want to get into it because of the, you know, once we get into bedrock, we risk maybe fluorides and maybe uranium.
Good
And so
idea.
we want to stay away from that and stay up above it. And we've built a couple of safeguards into the well with respect to that. And being that you ask, I'll give you a little bit more detail, and that is we put another blank section in at about 500 feet. And so in the event that we did have some pollution from the deeper aquifer, we have the option of going back in, cementing in the bottom of it if we needed to. So those are kind of belts and suspenders things, but being that we want to make sure we get a production well, we take a few extra precautions when we design the casing.
Okay, and I think I got confused on the timeline of this 6 to 9 months. Was that 6 to 9 months before number 7 is up on?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, and Joan, I haven't the specifications in front of me. I think it's a 180-day project. And again, it could be longer than that. It could be a little less if we get the equipment quicker, but it'll depend on the equipment really.
But the idea is then during that period of time while you're waiting equipment and well number 5 may be able to come back online and do its thing in between.
Oh, it will be. It will be
Awesome.
online. The minute that we complete that well and case it and test it, pump it out, and get everything cleaned up, we'll actually put a cap on it, well one on it, so that nobody can, throw rocks in it or whatever. And then it'll sit there until the contractor gets on site and starts putting in equipment. But yes, we'll have well 5 running. There'll be 2 periods where we won't, and that is when we're casing, putting in the gravel, and then when we're doing the test pumping of well 7. And normally we'll test for 24 hours, maybe 48, to determine just exactly what we can pump out of that well. And we take measurements of the water levels when we're pumping, and then when we turn off the well, we take measurements as well. And if CNC would let us, we would take measurements in their well too. But of course, I don't know whether they will or not, but we could actually then make some measurements and see if there's any influence at all. They're way away from us, but we want to be good neighbors.
Well, congratulations, guys. This is amazing, awesome news, and I am totally jealous.
Thank you.
Please ask a question too.
One more final question, hopefully, Dee. So just to reiterate, though, if there were some catastrophic issue with 5, which always is a potential, but hopefully it doesn't happen, we would be able to, at that point, if everything else was developed enough, be able to move the pump and everything over there if we really had to, right? I mean, we're not wanting to do that because we want to be able to continue 5 until we get all the parts for 7, but if we really needed to, we could. Correct?
We lost the.
Well, technically we could, but part of this is gonna be the piping coming from the well going to the tank. Part of that 6 to 9 months. Without the piping, we could, in an emergency, call in somebody to do emergency above ground piping or something. But also they're gonna be pouring the slab, building the building, running the pipe.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping that doesn't happen at all, but.
So, I mean, if we had to, the only reason I voted, it said no, which we may change our mind down the road, is because we wound up using the old stuff from 3 in well 6. And it was just not really the ideal. It's kind of like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a brand new car, but I want somebody else to drive it for 1,000 miles first. You want the brand new car. So maybe I'm silly like.
I'm buying a brand new car and I'm taking the engine from my used car and putting it in the brand new car. And
Even if it
everything
be a
would be great.
temporary thing, that's how I feel about it, but ultimately. Once they have it completely approved by the state, then yeah, I'm sure we could move that along pretty fast. There's a company called Rain for Rent, that I'm sure you've seen it. We'd use them for temporary piping when we were doing 6 to flush water out to the soccer field, so I'm sure they could do a quick connection from the one well to the new well. Assuming we get access through.
Dropped off.
Well, that was about it anyway.
We scared him. Oh, no, we have a bunch more for D.
I know he'll get back. Just saying that there might be some stuff we covered in the meantime.
What, should we go on to B or what?
Yeah.
Take a break.
Budget.
Oh, yeah, take a 5-minute break.
Yeah,
Okay.
You wanna call him or something, let him know that he dropped off?
well, I'm sure he knows.
It says reconnecting. Reconnecting.
Can
down.
someone make a motion to take a break?
I make a motion that we take a 5-minute break.
I'll second.
Motion's been made by Director Nyman and seconded by Director Kelly. We'll call directors, Director Garcia. Director Nyman,
All right.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. Okay, thanks, guys.
5-minute break at 7:27.
Oh, thank you.
Hello?
Hello. This is
Are we
Joan.
still on break?
I think so. It looks like Lisa's just now walking up.
Oh, okay.
That was my question too.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a 5-minute break.
Yeah, but we don't have D here, that's the problem, and we need D.
Wasn't that him right there?
No, he's not on.
So we don't go back on?
Well, we're gonna change the agenda or something.
Okay, we're coming back in discussion, 7:36. So how are we going to do this? What are we going to do? 11?
Can't do 11, you need D, for-
No.
You don't need D for 11.
you know?
There's no updates right now. Tiffany's got the only updates on the generators.
We need them for 12.
Well, we can still work through the line item.
So should
I make a motion that we go to 11.
I'll second that.
motion's been made by Director Nyman and seconded by Director Kelly. Roll call directors, Director Garcia, Director Nyman,
I,
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I, 500. Okay, discussion vote update on Cal OES Community Power Resiliency Allocation to Special Districts Grant. A, discussion vote update on purchasing generators.
Okay, but we still had to get through this line item, at some point in the meeting, so.
Oh, yeah, there's been no email. Yes, they're okay with us moving forward. And I think we're expecting generators starting in December.
And can we go to number 18 and get that, knock that out of the way?
Okay, well, we have B.
Engineering.
Discussion vote on engineering and design.
There's nothing.
There's nothing there.
nothing
Okay.
going on yet.
And then number 18 we could do, right? That's D.
Okay, cool.
okay, we can go
Go
back.
back to 9.
B.
Okay, 9B, discussion vote on the status of the meter project budget and requesting additional funding. We missed you, Dee.
Boy, everything went blank there for a few minutes. I was able to reboot, so I'm back. So where are we?
9B, D.
Okay.
Discussion vote on the status of the meter project budget and requesting additional funding.
Okay, want me just to discuss the bids?
Yes.
Okay,
No, that would be D.
I'm sorry.
you'll really,
This is the budget. This is whether any more money had to be spent on the well, which takes away from the meter.
I think we have to go in reverse.
I would suggest reversing those because I do need to talk about the bids and the budget.
Well, he's the engineer that designs all the shit.
Yourself.
All the shit? Oh,
I'll move that we go to D first, to 9D first, and then return to B so that we have an idea of what the bids are for the meter replacement.
you make.
I made a motion.
A second,
Okay, motion's been made by Director Schoenberg, seconded by Director Nyman. Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman.
aye,
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I, 500. So we're at 9D.
Okay, we're ready for the bids for the meter, D.
Okay, I started giving you some of the information a little bit earlier, and I'll repeat that. We had 5 bidders. The range was from $1.3 million to $3.7 million. To give you the
wow,
detail at this point in time, Bruff Construction came in $1,307,495. Number 2 bidder was Lyles with $2,059,242. Unified Fuel Services They were 3,716,488. Specialty construction, 3,623,740. And HBS mechanical, 3,032,705. So we have a big
I'm sorry,
spread.
Dave, who was the first bidder?
Rough.
The 1.3.
It's spelled BROUGH. They're from the coast. They've done a number of projects for us in the past. From little projects to big projects. We obviously haven't had a chance to talk to them or review any of the bids in detail, having just received them today. So we'll be in the midst of doing that. I would say we have two valid low bidders. One would be Bruff, if indeed they do understand what they have to do. 1,307,495. And then Lyle's utility, which is 2,059,242. And then we have some that are higher. So that's how the meter, the bids came in. You might recall that the total, now I'd like to switch to the effect of that on the budget, plus talk about where we are on the well as well, with respect to these combined projects. Because I think
Can I
it's
ask one question before you go to that? You said you haven't reviewed them enough. We didn't do like a regular bid opening. They usually, but so just in your quick assessment of it, why is the range so vast?
I'll just answer honestly to you. I don't know. And we're gonna have to dig into that and see why it is vast. The thing that encourages me, it may be that we have a low bidder that's too low and a high bidder, a couple of them that are pretty high. But when Lyle's comes in at about 2.06, say, that's a pretty good bid. So those two low ones, my hunch is, well, I just don't have a hunch. We've got to get into it and find out what the details are. But it is.
You think it might have something to do with the two low bidders do this all the time and they maybe they know what they're getting in for, like Lyle's did Lake of the Woods? And
Yeah.
maybe they do more than others.
Yeah, Ruff has done a number of meter replacement projects, and Lyle's as well. I think they might be working for you, Joan, not sure. But I mean, they're a number one, top construction company, as HBS is, and the rest of these guys are too. But I think Lyle's really knows their way around Fraser Park. And so again, I don't have an answer, but I did put together a couple of scenarios here based on what our combined budget is and where we are right now with respect to the well. And if we were to take the low bidder or the second bidder, to give you an idea of how we match up against the amount of money that's in our grant. So may I go there and give you some of these numbers? The grant is $3,997,427. The low bidder for the well is Unified, and that's $1,077,392.
You mean bro?
And if we take the low bidder for the meter project, that's $1,307,495. Those two total up to $2,384,887. That's against the $3,997,427 that we have budget in our grant. So we're well under our grant if we were to just take those numbers. But let's look at it a little bit differently. Let's say the low bidder for the well is who we have, which is $1,077,392. And we add the cost of the construction water, the water that we have to haul. And say if I estimated that total, and I do believe it's part of the construction. If I estimated that total for the whole well drilling process, and I think I'm high, at $200,000, that would bring the well cost into $1,277,392. If we add the second low bidder, Lyles, to this at $2,059,342, that brings the total to $3,336,634. Still below the grant number of $3,997,427. In fact, it's about $660,000 under that grant amount, the amount that we have now. That's stated on the face of the grant. I'm giving you that information because I think we're going to be able to complete these projects within the range of the grants that we have, the grant that we have. Again, well, you know, I don't want to jump too far ahead of myself, but it does look that way. However, you know, number one, we haven't completed the well yet, so that could go up a bit. It's not going to go up 600,000. We haven't selected a low bidder or awarded a contract for the meter replacement project. So we haven't done those two things yet. But even taking a little bit more conservative view of this thing with using the second low bidder, Lyles, for the meter replacement project, we're still fairly comfortable under the grant number, the grant line. So that's kind of where we are right now. That's what I understand about where we are. We need to dig deeper, no pun intended, with the, you know, certainly the well is gonna, there'll be some extras on that well, I'm sure, beyond just hauling the water. You know, probably equipment and things like that that have gone up, it will probably have to cover. But it's not going to be $600,000. About the meter replacement project, yeah, I just don't know right now. So, you know, if we were to go with the third bidder, $3,032,000, that's about $1 million higher, and that would put us maybe $400,000 over the budget. So, or 300. I don't think that'll happen. I don't think we're going there, but we do need to. It looks like we have a roughly, possibly a comfortable position right now with respect to where we are and with respect to this grant. But again,
That's good news, Dee.
well, I hope so. We really need to dig in and just see where we are, but they came in. We work with all these.
When we move to 14, that'll make me feel a little bit better about the news I have about.
Can I make
all that.
Can I make a comment because since Dee touched on the hauled water and including that in there? So earlier this week, I sent out an email to Lawrence asking him if it would be a viable option because at the time we still didn't have the amounts of the bids for the meter project. And when so what I asked him was, in case we do a funding agreement amendment, could we include money for hauling water out of the whatever the funding agreement, if we amended the funding agreement, which is something I didn't get an answer to. And I think it'd be probably good to address that with Lawrence, just to know, so we can so it can be decided what would be faster, this application that we'll discuss in 14, or some sort of amendment or creating another line item in the current funding agreement, or amending the funding agreement.
Well, is he gonna be on, is that what the phone call's about tomorrow? Is Lawrence gonna be on that and are we gonna discuss that?
He did not, he didn't answer yet to the call, but that's the idea, because I know other people from the state are gonna be on there as well. And that's one of the things I wanted to bring up so that can be addressed in the call tomorrow. What are timeframes and this other option versus going with that application, that new application that I sent over to you guys in the morning.
Yeah.
But I just wanted to make a comment since we were talking about like the hauled water and the budget for the meter and well project.
Okay,
Okay,
moving along.
well, you can keep talking because we're gonna do discussion vote on the bridge loan for the meter replacement.
Okay, so regarding the bridge loan, I know Jesse's been out for a couple weeks on vacation, and she comes back on Monday. And as far as I knew, they've been getting ready to send out the commitment letter, and they're finishing up whatever they were fixing on their agreement. So I mean, I would expect, start signing paperwork and contract by the end of this month. I would recommend either Johnny or Tiffany just to send a reminding email to Jesse, just to kind of follow up and see what's going on.
But now are we gonna have to do that? It sounds like there's gonna be enough money.
Yeah, but
Bridge loan has nothing to do with that. It has to do with being able to pay the contractors within 30 days. And to wait for us to get the money reimbursed by the state.
and if we do need it, we have it in place. And if we don't need it, it doesn't cost us anything.
Right.
Yeah, it's just like a line of credit, basically.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Moving on,
Claims and payouts.
discussion vote on claims and payouts.
So
You have
the
everything
next
you need?
claim. Did we jump over going out to bid for the meters?
Yeah, no, we didn't. We reversed them all.
Yeah, he already answered that. That was what he was
Okay.
talking about, having 5 different bidders.
Yeah, okay, so the next claim, I'll have a draft ready for the ad hoc for next week with the call with the state. And from there, I mean, I'll have it ready for the next meeting.
And what number is that? 7?
I don't have my computer in front of me. It's either 7 or 8. I want to say 8.
8.
Okay, moving on, 10, discussion vote on pipeline replacement project. A, discussion vote update on potholing and mapping.
FUD.
We've moved from the very top at Summit and Pico down to a little bit of the lower realms below that to the southeast, west, I'm sorry. And I don't have my map on me, but Decatur and Irvin and that area is where we've been focusing. We're getting pretty much done with that area. And then Johnny will move to the next area that you think is most critical. I'm thinking that we may want to move to the east, or we may actually want to move to the south around Texas and some of those others on the south end.
I'm kind of thinking that if we decide that we have enough money left to replace a long pipe, maybe we should look at one of the 8-inch going from Pine 1 down Pine Canyon, or the 6-inch coming down East End, because both of those fail. When they do it with spectacular results. So if we think that we had enough to say, okay, well, let's just do this one and avoid the smaller streets, that might be a good route to go too.
Mhm. Okay, we'll have that conversation well, Monday, or I might give you a call on tomorrow, Johnny, if you're available and just chat about.
Working 7 days a week right now. Do you call anytime you want?
Director Schoenberg, did you have something? to-
I was just gonna ask if we do go with that side of town where we have so much pavement. How does that,
Yeah, and that's what he's gonna have to look at is dollar
okay,
footage and cost and everything, and then determine if it's the best route to go.
Okay, can we move on?
Yep.
Discussion vote on the project budget.
not there yet?
We're not there yet?
No, because we have to pothole and map before we can come up with a. project.
Okay, so we're not there yet. That's
Same
all
with
right.
draft project plans and specifications, same with project application, we just have the initial application in. We're not, I mean, we could table, but I think we just detailed that. So we move on. If we can just-
1 to 12.
Well, discussion vote on district water tank replacement. Does that mean we're done with Carlos and Oscar?
Not yet.
no.
No.
Okay,
Oscar's gonna be
With
part-
Carlos, yeah, but not with me.
Yeah, Carlos, you can go. Thank you.
Thank you, Carlos.
Alrighty, have a good night.
Hey, Carlos.
Bye.
a discussion vote update on project work.
Okay, we're getting the design completed. I've been looking over the shoulder of a couple of our design engineers and they're very close. So I'm gonna guess that we'll, by the end of next week or the beginning of the following week, we should be able to have a set of specifications ready to go. I have been out as well, and I've spent more time with Johnny in the last several days, actually even over the weekend than I normally do. So I'm a little bit behind on exactly where we are with respect to that project, but I'll have a little time.
That's Elm Day, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I updated the board to you on how, unlike some people, as soon as the crisis hit, you've been here constantly, so. Anything that gets pushed back a few days is our fault.
Okay, discussion vote on the quote for the environmental work.
That, I thought we approved that at the last meeting.
I thought we did.
Yeah, I mean, I read it in the minutes. I wasn't at the meeting.
Good.
I think it was a couple $1,000s for the elm and I think the
I think
same.
we're good. Yeah, we just didn't drop it off the agenda.
13, discussion vote update on the nitrate analyzer and returning to compliance.
As of 7th, I talked to Jesse when our current water crisis hit. I knew Jesse was close to approving, that manual that D had to do, and I said, Jesse is, we really need to be released, in case we need a boil notice or something, run out of water. So he worked late, actually, with his boss or somebody else and removed us from, we're within compliance now.
Oh,
That
good job.
we're good with that. I have yet to, which I gotta follow up on, because I've been so busy, I need to have Jesse and me draft the letter that we have to send out to everybody telling them that, we're off the nitrate issue. So
Goodness,
that part's good, as long as everything stays
the same.
the same, we'll be okay while we're getting a new well, so.
But actually, it would have to go up considerably because at 8, we're just, we don't,
Yeah,
we.
and I printed 2 of these.
We have to go back. and-
Printed 2 of these just in case somebody or anybody wants to read through all this stuff. But it's either it's something you want to read it.
That document from Jesse.
Yeah, it's an official document saying that we're gonna return to compliance. That's good.
Okay, new business discussion vote on the water supply emergency.
All right, so, current. Just the water home done. Now, first of all, when I started this. all day long, evening calling haulers. I couldn't find any haulers. And then when it came time to realizing who we were paying and what and everything else, finally I just had to tap out and ask Tiffany to do a spreadsheet, communicate with the drillers, compile all this information, which she did a wonderful job like always, but so far, not including yesterday afternoon or today, we've spent roughly $63,000 on hauling water. Now, most of that is the haulers and the water charges that we're paying. Tiffany, when she gets it all done, and I mean, she broke it down in so many different ways here that we could all understand the water charges and what it costs and everything, but what happened was, I finally got the haulers in here, and then I got some trucks that couldn't reach our tank, too many trucks lined up. So I spent another $3,000 on getting fire hoses and everything they could run from the trucks next to the road into the tank. We've had as many as 5 trucks running per day. I want to point out that the mountain community as a whole, without exception, stepped up and offered their help. Pinyon Pines had an emergency meeting with their board of directors to approve selling us water, which we haven't done because they're high in fluoride, but did an emergency meeting. Pinyon Pines, Mill Petro, Pine Mountain Club also agreed to sell us water. The people that are closest to us, Joan and Pam, of course, from Lake of the Woods, even though they're catching major flack, selling us water because they can't water, customers can't water outside. Jessica Carroll in Quebec said she'd sell us 50,000 gallons a day. The Home Ranch, Efren Munoz, he really stepped up as well, and he shut off his irrigation. Everybody knows what the corporate office looked like, it's green and nice. He shut off the irrigation, still told us that he wants to help us, and he's selling us a bunch of water. Gorman selling us water. So everybody just really stepped up, all of them just without exception. My concern now is with that dollar amount already, like Dee guessed 200,000, it could be even more because like Gorman, when I had their well sounded, which you guys will be paying for $150 or something for the sounding because it's on us, we've already dropped their level by 2 feet. Now, I don't know how deep that is, but on Lake of the Woods, I don't know how much they could keep supplying. I don't know to Home Ranch how much they could keep. I just don't know. And the next round of hauling is going to be at least probably 160,000 gallons of water a day. If any one of our suppliers starts getting hurt and they can't sell to us, then I got the bigger problem. Then I got to decide, okay, well, are we going to haul water from Pinyon Pines and issue whatever Jesse tells us we have to about the fluorides? Do I get twice as many trucks from Pine Mountain Club, which is much longer turnaround time, or do I, get it from Santa Clarita and have them running up that way? But then the turnaround time is so long. Like some of our trucks, the turnaround time just to go to Gorman is probably 45 minutes to an hour to get there and back and offload. The 6,700 gallon truck that I've had from Fresno, it takes well over probably an hour and a half round trip. And it takes a long time to offload it from their truck into our tank. It's a giant truck, but it's only got a 2-inch pump to pump the water in our tank. So over the next few days, as we get a more solid schedule of what's going on, and I got to talk to all the local water companies and see, how we're affecting them and start planning for this and trying to line up trucks ahead of time for the day they're going to start drilling again. I have to have all those ducks in a row so we don't get behind in water hauling again. As you know, we lost pressure for just a very little while in the lower third of the town when we couldn't keep up. We couldn't keep up with the demand at all. Went off for about an hour, came back on. Luckily, we didn't have to issue a boil notice. We took 4 back tees from that area. They all came back clean. So we didn't contaminate nobody. But it's been a constant over since last Friday, no sleep for me or the crew because we're constantly having to check what's going on. What tank do we have to boost to? How do we borrow from Peter to pay Paul? And just now today, we're getting to where we're solid again. By morning, we should be pretty solid with well 2 running again. I mean, well 5 running again, we'll pretty solid. But the next time we have to have all the trucks already coming this way and have all our suppliers and backup suppliers lined up so they could all get here on time, so we don't start falling behind again. Luckily, the one 2,000 gallon truck, they're able to get up the road to Harrison, which Harrison is our hardest tank to fill. Although it fills at the same time as 3 other tanks, for some reason that thing just ain't filling fast. So he's able to dump 2,000 gallons at a time inside of that tank and kind of keep us afloat. But it's been a real juggling action. So over the next, we're guessing, I think, week, I have to have all these plans locked in to place. It's
Cause we're back to running well 5 right now.
we've been running well 5 since about 5 o'clock this afternoon,
Okay.
after I flushed it. So that's dumping. We're still having the trucks that are run through the night until Corey feels like everything is up to speed, or until, you know, I decided, okay, we send them home.
Right.
But then I'll have to have a definitive day, hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, of when the casing's gonna come in, so I can line it all up. But the cost, initially, when I seen the cost, I was like, oh my God, this could be $250,000. And hauling, hopefully tomorrow we get an answer on who's gonna pay for that, or if we could roll it into the well project. Now I'm breathing a little easier, because if it looks like we could roll it into the well project, we have the money available. So, but if not, that's what we have to be prepared for. And as much as I thought about it, there's just no other alternative but to spend this money. Initially, I was ordering people and setting up water supplies and not even caring what they were gonna charge. There was no shopping around like, oh, well, this guy's doing it for this, how about doing it? There was none of that. It's like, if you could send somebody down, they sent a guy down from Fresno. I said, look, I'll put you up at the Motel 6. There's somebody from Isabella, put you up at the Motel 6, just get here and do the job we need. So luckily, it's all come through, and hopefully by Monday or Tuesday, I'll have a better idea of everybody's aquifers and where they stand and how many trucks I may need to order up to haul from someplace farther if we need to go to Plan probably Z now. Go ahead.
Director Schoenberg?
And so we're talking about 2 weeks once we pull 5 off again.
We're thinking it's gonna be about 2 weeks of hauling for them to do all the stuff that they need to do. And like I said, about 160,000 gallons a day. I'm kind of hoping that the weather turns, because it's getting later in the
Right,
season.
so we won't.
Maybe the
as
weather
much.
will turn and it'll help a little bit, but it's just a phenomenal amount of water. And like initially Jesse was thinking, well, we need to know how many people are affected by well 5 lost, but really it's the whole town. I talked to you about it earlier. It's really 1,300 connections affected, and not just Parcel B's director zone, because we have to boost from well 5 over to here to keep us going on this side. So it's really a lot of water and a lot of hauling. And if you've been by there and you've seen all the hoses hanging out of the tanks and the trucks, it's been like quite the logistical feat.
And I think what we might want to do is write another letter, having watched some of my neighbors over the last week. Saying like, do some watering during this time when tomorrow, after tomorrow, whatever, if we've caught up. And then please, like, we need you to back off, because they're like, I watched one of my neighbors just like watering away, even though we put out those notices and
I think more likely we need
watering
to,
the dirt.
we need to put out a notice again that reiterates our last water conservation thing.
Yeah.
And during this time, need to drive around and for the first time, start gigging people for that. Okay, we've asked you, it's already been the water conservation 2 days a week watering. If you're watering.
Yeah, this person was watering on the wrong day.
If you're not watering on the right day, we're gonna give you a fine after the first warning, or issue another proclamation saying there is no first warning. If we catch you during this water crisis, you will be fined, whatever the fine was, $100 or whatever it is. But I think we're certainly at that level to where we can't let people do those things.
But I would like to see us do kind of what LA did when they were in a crisis with, it's not just LA, like multi-county, when they had to replace all those pipes, and I think they're still in the middle of that stuff, but they had to ask people to do some deep watering. And then they've had to like do it multiple
Because
times.
I don't
or
want to do
whatever.
deep water because we're barely keeping up with.
Yeah, but I mean, not deep water, but I'm just saying, they said, okay, you have this period of time. Water your plants a little bit if you're so, worried about you losing them.
Only on the
And
2 days that we've already authorized. Because well, five
Exactly,
is. we
that's
were
all they
barely,
did.
yeah, we were barely keeping up before the water crisis. And now it's gotten even worse, so.
Right, I just wanna say what they did is they explained to people, it's gonna be this thing, you're not gonna be able to water. We will, if you water, we won't be able to replace pipes, and then we'll really be in trouble, because if we lose stuff, we're gonna be in major, well, we have the same kind of thing, so.
I'm not
But we
opposed
have
to
to-
somebody writing that. I don't have time to write that and we don't have time to board to approve that. I don't have a problem with that, but it's been proven to me. Hundreds of times that nobody reads what we put out anymore. Nobody does. The newspapers told me that, the social media's told me that, everybody's told me,
I don't know that.
well, I didn't read it. I don't read it. I don't know. I don't
know that that's true,
Well,
it's just that they
read it.
understand a lot of times, because they
They
do.
just don't care.
I think there's people who really care in
There's
town, and you see them on the social media, like kind of telling the other people, hey, that's not cool, the blah, blah,
Agreed.
blah.
I think those
And
people are
then-
doing it voluntarily because they care.
And then you've got the other people who either aren't reading it or just don't care, so. I think we need to do a little of both, I think we need to reinforce the water conservation, because there's a lot of people, at least on my side of town. That water whenever they feel like it, and they are not following that whatsoever.
Maybe we
And-
should pay him a visit.
Well, and
Thank you, Joan, for doing some answering on social media.
And we should do that, but I don't. We don't have another meeting between now and then.
Well, that's why I'm bringing that up as part of this, because I mean, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to help. To write something or to help, with Tiffany, I don't know, or however, if we're willing to do that. But again, it needs to be like something where we would have to do it outside of the meeting, because I
Yeah.
don't think we want to necessarily have another emergency meeting to
And we can certainly do that, but the amount of water, if you drive around town, other than apparently your neighbor, I've been driving around, I've been looking a lot. Especially in the last few days. And I don't see anybody outside with water running down the street. I don't see anybody doing that.
Oh, it's not really down the street.
No, I mean, I don't know how much water really we could get them to save additionally. That's going to, because you gotta write the letter, it's gotta go in the mail, it's gotta be read. Before all of this kicks into gear, because we don't have the manpower to post.
No, I'm thinking that we write something that goes in the paper. I mean, I know not everybody reads the paper, but maybe we can put it in the paper and ask our social media person to post it on social media.
It's short enough, put it on social media.
Yeah, if it's like short and sweet and kind of explains it, and I mean, Brum and I got together and wrote a little something that he put on social media, so. I think even if it's something short like that, because we couldn't contact you, Director Garcia,
But the thing is,
because we couldn't do a serial meeting, so.
but even though. Rama posted that, most of the comments on that has been negative. Joan, I mean, there's been two out of like all of them that are on there that have been positive.
It was pointed out to me, somebody that counted all the comments on different things in town, like the guy that was running through town, and there was like 600 posts. It was the biggest, the one that the cop
Yeah,
they arrested. When the number of people were counted, it was like 40 people. On almost any topic, no matter how controversial, you have the same
same people.
40 people, if that are making all the noise and all the negative comments. The majority of the town is sitting back going, all right, this is happening. I'm gonna go about my business.
But a
And
ton
you're never convinced those 40 of anything different.
right, but a ton of people read it like me and don't comment. So I'm just saying, there's for every one of those 40 that always says the negative comments, more or less, except maybe there's 5 that say positive comments. There's another hundreds of people that just read it and kind of go, oh, I better like, because people all through town that I talked to were saying, and they were people who weren't associated with the water company. And there were a lot of people saying like somebody I talked to said, I'm trying to only shower. I know this sounds gross, but I'm trying to only shower like once every 3 days so that I can help you guys. Stuff like that, so I was like,
Well-
wow, that's great.
Well, I'm all for it. If you guys just say, yeah, that's fine, I'll go ahead, Tiffany.
Oh, I just wanted you to know, in case you weren't aware, we have a robocall capability.
Is it okay?
And we have the capability, it would take me on the phone with transaction warehouse, but I could do that in an hour.
And it's not that expensive,
I would say,
less than mailers.
max cost is $300.
Yeah, I'm all for it. And it would just have to be a simple,
Super simple.
simple statement. Whatever statement we put on there, Jerry, put on social media.
Was it a, what's the point of that? Why don't we have a site? You're asking me to put these things
I'll
on.
tell you what,
social media. You want me to put it on my,
Your page.
page?
Okay, I'll tell you why.
I'm not willing to do that.
Not on your page, but you put it on the bulletin board, Fraser Park bulletin board.
You're not, you
You guys said you wanted me to do it. I never volunteered.
should step down from that. I wish I had the more to do it.
So anyway, the reason why we don't have a social media page is because I tried that for a while, and all it was a place for the negative people to bash us. And not be able to defend it in any way, shape, or form, much like our Mountain Enterprise has opted to stay completely out of social media for the same reason. Because it's in some situations, like for us, it's just a big old negative instead of a positive, so. Whoever wants to, I mean, you could get it posted, and I'll have Heather or my mother-in-law or somebody posted on the bulletin board, because now there's like 3 or 4 informational social networking pages up here, so.
Bulletin board.
So they need to put it up on all that. That's not a problem. So if one of you can go ahead and write the blurb, we'll get it out there. It would be running the paper on Thursday. So a few days before.
If we do the robocalls, we may not need to run it in the paper.
I
The
agree.
paper's
Why not
expensive
do
too, so if we agree to the robocalls, I think we just need the robocalls and a little explanation on a couple of the social medias, which people do read but don't always comment. And,
I think the robocall at least once as soon as we get it set up, and then once the day or so before. We have to start really conserving again and do it again and get it out there, and then it would be set up already extra.
because I think that's more effective than going around with a PA, because that was hard for people
Yeah,
to
we
hear,
wanna
like,
do that.
a bunch of people told me. That they could hear what was going on, but they had no idea, and like all the neighbors on their block walked out and said, what the heck, what?
There was a bunch of comments on the bulletin board.
Okay, so anyway, so who wants to do that? Who wants to write the blurb?
If
Or you just want them to handle it?
You can write it.
you can get the work done tomorrow, transaction, I will be here and transaction warehouse will be here.
We'll be here, if you, okay, why don't you have the try to get a blurb together, because we're gonna be here anyway, and you're already paying.
You just trust me and Tiffany to stay. We can do it, and it don't require any kind of ad hoc.
But we're already
We're
here.
gonna be here, so.
I don't know if we should say, I don't know if we should back off from the water emergency for a week and then say,
Back
oh,
on again.
we're back on
Me
again.
too, I think.
I think we should, because people are gonna say, well, you're playing this yo-yo game with this.
I agree with that, I think.
And I think we should just keep the emergency in place. Even if we're gonna be okay for a week. Because we're gonna be right back there.
But the reason that people flip out is, I mean, in Lake of the Woods, some people listen and some people don't, some people have lawns and some people don't, some people do what they're not supposed to do, but mostly they listen. I think that same thing might happen here if we're being, I do, but I'm just one board member, so, I mean,
All right,
I
well,
just,
maybe you can vote on that, huh? Forward. Put out a blurb or not.
Well, it depends on what we put out. I mean, I'm thinking that we need to maybe give them a timeline of say, the emergency. is gonna last no longer than a month.
I'll explain something very critical to you guys right here. We are able to push from well 5 to well 6 pressure zone on a minimal level. The boosters are way too small. For at least the last 4 or 5 months, we've barely kept up with demand in well 6's pressure zone with well 5's help. To where Harrison is super low all the time. Everything is an issue. Our electricity bill goes through the roof because we have to boost from small booster. I think that as soon as you say something like, it's okay to do this, people are gonna be throwing everything out and they're gonna be watering pardon my language, the crap out of their stuff. And we're gonna be back to where I'm calling in haulers before we're ready to have haulers here. Because well 6 ain't gonna keep up, because well 6 runs 24 hours a
And
day.
we can't have that.
The
keep
people that
going.
are watering the crap out of stuff are gonna water the crap out of stuff regardless of whatever we say.
If somebody tells me you can water this day, I'm gonna get all of my stuff watered that day and make sure I get it done effectively.
And I'm
It
gonna
ain't
water
gonna do
one
any
day.
good. You're gonna have
You're
to.
gonna-
It's confusing to send out, you can do it for this amount of time, then we're gonna go back. I think.
Yeah, and I also think that eventually these people, like some people I know that do have big lawns, they're gonna have to get over having them. We're in a historic drought. If you look, every water reservoir is at record lows. Have you seen Isabella lately?
Oh, yeah.
It's like a trickle going through there now. If people don't start getting their mind wrapped around the fact that you can't have lawns and you can't have things that require a bunch of water, we're not gonna last through this. I don't care how good the aquifer is down at well 7. I mean, me and Dee were talking about that. It's nothing is infinite. Nothing is gonna last forever. So we need everybody to start wrapping their mind around gray water, whatever they need to do in order to keep what they want alive, because otherwise we're not gonna make it through this drought.
Right, which means more education too, so we just have to keep educating people on stuff too, but I think. I mean, and that's the whole thing with like the pond, people don't go drive to Lake Hughes, which is gone. Or Elizabeth Lake, which is gone, I mean, those were big bodies of water on a sag
That's true,
pond.
but I also know
They're
that-
not there.
I also know that with education, I have educated until I feel like my head's just gonna explode for years, and so is the newspaper, and so is anybody with any type of knowledge of this.
I mean,
And the same people, the same issues with the pond are still coming up. Just
Same
recently, they're still talking about at the paper, these group of people, the number one thing everybody wants is a pond. In a historic route where everybody in the western United States is going dry. People need to wrap their mind around the fact that it now ain't the time for ponds, lawns, anything. We need to conserve what water we got and move forward. That's my opinion, and and Dee could chime in about it as well, but this is not a time when I can worry about somebody wanting to keep their lawn going. This is the time where we want to be able to flush our toilets
Oh,
and our kids take showers.
we should maybe call the park. And ask them to come and turn and stop watering for the next 3 weeks.
Yeah, I'll just go turn their valve off and then call them. Can you remind me to we'll call them tomorrow?
and I'm sorry, I do have a green lawn, but mine's fake.
Yeah, see, and that's what some people do.
People drive by.
People in town that have fake ones.
Yeah, and that's, they're getting with the program of understanding. And there's nothing wrong. There's a dude in Lake in the Woods that has gray water and he has a big, beautiful, massive lawn. And it's all gray water. Because he took the time to run it out to his lawn. You could have all the greenery you want because everybody's got to be lawn. So I think we just stick with the robocall for conserve water when we need to and try to get through this.
Yeah, I don't think we should be telling them 1 week off.
No.
And
Okay, that's fine, but I would like to vote for this and any other. I mean, I guess we have to do any other one on another agenda item, but I would like to have a different person be the social media person if Director Garcia is not
Oh,
interested.
yeah, we just volunteered.
Because I do think, I didn't think we volunteered you, but if that's how you feel you don't need to. do
But I understand, I get it. That's why I don't do it. Boy, I don't want it on mine because then lets everybody attack me. If you put it on your own, it lets people attack you, and if you're even keeled enough to where you could do that, you know, Brahma may be able to handle that just fine, but I'm not.
Even if you post on the bulletin board, it gives your name.
Yeah.
It says who's posting.
Actually, you can do an anonymous one, but they know who it is.
But they ain't gonna
You
read
can-
it, honestly. They
You
could
could just
care.
say a PPUD.
We could create a FPPUD page, and I think you could make it to where you could turn off anybody being able to,
Yeah, you absolutely
and then
can.
it's just informational only, and people can't comment.
I think that's a really good idea.
But
So,
don't
but I think-
think-
I think on this, we can discuss and vote on that because it's anything to do with the water supply emergency, and I do think we need to put something on there. So I'd like to move forward, so I'd like,
And keep it. Go.
it's easy.
This is Joan. Can I make a comment suggestion to you guys?
Yes,
Okay, from my experience with Lake of the Woods, when we went to no outside watering, and encouraging people to conserve and fix their things, we saw a reduction in the amount of water that was used in our community by over 50%. When we went
Wow.
to the metered rates and were able to identify, because these meters are just amazingly awesome, we can identify what person is using a lot of water and at what hour of the day, on what days of the week they're doing it. We were able to identify the people that were trying to be sneaky or things like that. We were able to hammer down on them. So we have cut back even more. The biggest question that I'm getting from people who are asking me is, how long do you want me to go with an absolute total minimum amount of water? People are saying, I haven't done my laundry since this thing. When is it okay if I run my washing machine yet? And I'm happy
Yeah.
to continue my social media part of educating people.
Yeah,
People think that we're connected somehow.
well,
Yeah.
I mean,
I know.
that's an awesome suggestion, and as we get smart meters in, and we can put together water conservation packets that are already pre-stacked and go out and talk to the people, look, you're using too much water, here's how you conserve. But over the next 2 weeks or 3 weeks, I don't think there's gonna be that much conservation from what I've been hearing above what they're already doing. I know a lot of people are already conserving.
Director Schoenberg?
Is our page completely gone? Because it's hard to get a page completely off Facebook, so is it?
I don't know.
If our
And I
page
think
isn't-
I end up linking it to mine, or I forget how I did. It's been several years, but I don't know. We'll figure it out though.
You can always start another one.
Yeah, you can just start one and it can just be a public figure, FPPUD public figure, and then it's not linked to anybody's personal stuff and people can follow it, they do whatever they're gonna do, yeah, it's,
Voluntary. I don't know how to do anything.
I do.
Do you want me to? I can do it. I can do the Facebook thing. I do our website already. I don't think it's gonna be time consuming.
It's quick, I just am doing so
And
many
then
things, I don't wanna do.
Anything on it that's directed by somebody else.
And then we can use that to post, and then we can talk about a little group that we can put on for just to go on the.
You also have to get people to know that you have it and actually like the page.
Well,
So that's gonna take some time. I mean, if we do it right away, it's still gonna take some time to get people.
right, but you can use that page to post on, you can ask that page, I mean, from that page, you can go on whatever the biggest bulletin boards are in town here.
Okay, good. So we can hammer
And
that.
that takes a minute, and because they.
That don't even take a vote.
Pretty quick.
That don't even take a vote. I've already done it once. We'll just do it, right away. So.
And then since we're already here tomorrow, if you have a question, you can run it by us as far as the little blurb we want to post on.
Okay, have we taken care of this water supply emergency?
Oscar, did you have anything you wanted to add for tomorrow?
Yeah, yes. So I just want to touch bases since like Monday we had that first call addressing the water supply emergency. And I know Johnny was on there, Dee was on there, Jesse was on there, and there was some other people from the state on there. Lawrence wasn't on there because of the short notice. But I think the most important things to take away from that call was or for future of what came out after that. Because basically what I asked was the concern was, how is this hauled water going to get paid without having to Fraser Park Public Utilities District deplete their emergency reserve, you know? And then one of the options that came about was that urgent drinking water needs application. But a good thing to ask for tomorrow's call is, what's the time frame on that? How long do they expect from when it's submitted for it to get approved, and from it to get approved to get the money, basically, to get the reimbursement? And the other thing that I asked, and I asked Lawrence, which I didn't get an answer for, is about the amendment, the current amendment, and including money in there to cover hauled water, if that was a viable option. So I think though that would be also something important to ask tomorrow.
But if that, quick question,
Yeah.
if that water can be assumed part of the construction, then I don't understand why we would necessarily need an amendment. Because if the construction has.
Initially, the reason why I brought up an amendment was because we still didn't have the bids from the meters, so we didn't know how much the meter project could potentially be, was going to cost.
Right.
Right, but if we can move from the contingency, if Lawrence can approve that as part of it, the actual. And wants to make an additional line item under construction. And allows us to move money from contingency, then we may not have to worry about that. So I think we just need to have hopefully a conversation,
Yeah.
hopefully he's on. Those.
Yep. And then, I mean, it all depends on how much it's going to cost, because I think in the contingency there's like just over $300,000 in there. So and according from what Johnny said earlier, 63,000 has already been spent, and the other thing that I did mention was it's better to overestimate a little than to underestimate and shoot yourself in the foot, because initially Johnny had said on the call on Monday that it may be like 3 weeks of hauled water, and then Jesse Dollywall chimed in and said it could be more, it could be 4 or more weeks, which, I mean, he made a good point.
I think, Dee, you could, chime in on that too. I think we know, relatively certain, how long it's gonna be to shut down, give or take a few days, right?
Yeah, we do. We can get a really good estimate together.
Because we won't start until, like I suggested, I said, well, how about if we know the casing's gonna come in on Tuesday, can we start drilling however many days before we think we'll need? And it was pointed out correctly that, no, you don't do that. You have everything there before you start drilling, so you don't take a chance on losing the hole or having problems. So Deal will be able to give us a really good estimate of how many days we're gonna have to haul before we do it,
So it may not even be 2 weeks from now.
I think it'll be 2 weeks of hauling.
No, 2 weeks of hauling, but it may not, we're not positive of the timeline from today, because we need to wait for the casing to come.
Yeah, Dee's still thinking it'd be a week.
Okay.
Right, Dee?
Say that again. I'm thinking that
You're still thinking that
it'll
we'll be
be-
back on. We'll be back on the drilling schedule for, you're figuring about a week for the casing, and then we'd start drilling again, right?
Yeah, probably Tuesday or so of the following week. Not next week, but the one after that.
We're gonna have-
Okay, do we have anything more we need to say on that issue?
No.
Move on.
We can move on. Thank you, Oscar.
Thank you, Oscar.
Thanks.
Discussion.
No
tomorrow.
problem. Okay,
This is
thank
Joan.
see you tomorrow.
One more
You may
thing,
want-
if you guys can update on your website where you had that little thing at the very top that you were able to click that talked about the conservation. If you can update some information on that, that'll make it fast and easy for people too.
That'd be good.
Good call.
And we could put that letter up on the compliance on our website right away.
We
Well,
should.
we need to get the letter. Yeah, the short draft, yeah, not this. The short draft that Jesse approves to send out, we'll put that.
Right, but we should always be putting that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah, this will be on our website, yeah, of course, but, I wanted Dee to stay on just for the next one, because he might be interested in this part.
Okay, discussion vote on the notice of water rate increase.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's
The next one.
set, yeah, the next one after this, but, okay, good.
Good night.
That is good.
Hey,
So do we want to do 15?
Tiffany, over there.
Tiffany?
Are we on 15?
Yes.
Yeah,
So I just wanted to point out on our administrative fees, so in our Prop 218, we said that each year our administrative fees will adjust using the consumer price index. So the numbers I have in here is 8.7%. It was the estimated consumer price index. Yeah, it's the estimated inflation. They said that actually today, they were gonna officially lock in what that will be. So I haven't looked it up to see what they locked in. If it changes, I'll adjust these numbers according to what the real one will be. And if it's the same, then this is what it'll be.
And
Director Schoenberg?
so we're adjusting yearly on that, or as, what did we put in there? Is it
We
gonna
put it
happen in January? Annually, okay, so that's, so when we do our jump in our, that we agreed to on the Prop 218, it'll do the same thing on,
8%.
This year's.
Just on administrative.
yeah, that's not on water, that's not. That's crazy.
That's. Yeah, that's crazy. I know.
Makes sense, got it?
Yeah, I just wanted to point out that's where I got those
So
numbers.
do you need us to vote on anything?
Well, for sure on approving this letter, if it has everything that you would like it to have. Read over it, make sure I didn't do anything weird.
Well, there's no letter. You was talking about the
So this is,
list
the-
of fees.
list of fees.
this is the letter, it's the proposed letter. As of August 1st, the district's Prop 218 rate increase for the effect. On January 1st, 2023, our rates will increase by.
Short one, but that's a letter.
This two sentences.
Yeah, make sure it.
So the cost of living increase is what you're talking about, and that, those numbers may change, those are based.
The cost of living increase. Now,
So you'll just change this, so if we vote on it, we would vote on this with the possible changes.
yeah, depending on what the often.
Okay,
Director Schoenberg?
I'd like to move that we approve and send out our letter that talks about on January 1st, 2023, our rates will increase by scheduled 2% that was in the Prop 218, as well as the administrative charges that will increase by the locked-in consumer price index.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion has been made by Director Schoenberg and seconded by Director Nyman. Roll call directors, Director Garcia.
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
I,
Gibson, I 500. Moving on.
when will this go out?
It has to go out by the end of this. Because you have to give 60 days notice.
Yikes.
Yeah, so that's gonna go on. We'll figure out how you.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying,
Do you think you heard anything on the social media already?
that's what I'm saying.
You know, just news, don't get on social media, you not hear anything,
Well,
you'll be good. You'll be happy and content.
Yeah,
well, I tend to go to the bulletin board to find out if there's any cases and fires.
Yeah.
Then I see this other stuff.
Okay, so, next item.
Okay, great. Discussion vote on a title search for district-owned property.
Okay, the only reason I wanted D on this, he probably knows more, but, I thought it would cost, me and Lisa were going over the list, it turned out that we own more property than what was on our list at that time. So then I called Chicago Title and said, hey, how do I go about finding out what property and easements the district has? Because I'll just run a report for you. All right, well, according to this, we own 25 properties. And it has all the APNs on it. I don't believe that this includes the easements, which is why I wanted D to stay on it. The easements, I don't know how useful they'll be with the pipeline replacement stuff, but is that something that we should also look into to maybe incorporate the easement search in the pipeline project? But they give you this stuff, this has got the basic, how big it is, the APNs for free. Then if you need the actual information from them, it costs about $500 a piece, roughly, for the properties, and I don't know about the easement, so.
D, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe the easements are not part of a property search that we'd be doing with a title company. The easements are recorded in Kern County, and so.
Coroner's office.
She said absolutely, she was just having a difficult time that day. She could absolutely run a title search on all easements as well for Kern and Fresno counties.
Right, so I think we absolutely need to look at the all of the easements, because that's been an issue I've had since I've been on this board, and I think if we, if we don't have them listed somewhere, it's a real problem, and we've had, multiple issues where someone wants to build on something that should have been a conservation easement, that we thought we made a conservation easement, who knows if it's really a conservation easement, so I think that we should do that.
Right, do you think it's the pipeline thing, it would be good for me to have them do a title search for the easements and have any that we need paid for out of the pipeline grant, or you think it's not necessary?
Well. Yeah,
I'm sorry, but that's for the pipeline, I think.
That's
it's
why I have to
necessary.
stay on the
Yeah.
line, so what we do with the rest is
Is
on us. I'm just asking Dee's opinion for the pipeline.
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
I'm not quite sure how much work would be involved in that. We've got pipelines running through the community in these trails. There may be a blanket easement for the utility district to run those pipelines in the trails. I think it's something I need to call Alan and see just exactly what exists, and what we might have to do in order to put brand new pipelines in the trails.
And I was just thinking that if we got easements that went through properties that may help us redesign some of this system, like we we're talking about some in Pico and stuff, if we found out we had other options, maybe, it would help you with your design work, with my only thought on that.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, I need to talk to Ellen about that. Find out exactly what's involved with, what's on record that allows Fraser Park Public Utility District to put these pipelines in the trails. You know, you know, we had to do with the pipeline that we're running out from well 9 was we had to get appraisals on each one of those properties so that we could value the taking of an easement, but that's a little bit different situation because these folks aren't getting water service for us right now. We're serving the entire community as a public utility district, and we got pipelines all over the place. I'm sure there's not an easement written for every one of those. I would think there would not be an easement written for every one of the properties.
No, and I agree with that. The only places I know we have easements is like where it goes through that guy's yard from Summit down to Pico. The easement where the pipeline was cut coming down off of Summit, going down to Elm Trail. So those are the type of easements I'm talking about, ones that are just not in the roads, but specifically through properties. I don't know if we should get them.
But I think we should also talk to our attorney about the implied easements and any laws that have changed on that or any things that have changed, because I know that there are implied easements. And I don't know how those work exactly. I've been trying to figure that out. And then there's also some easements that need to happen that may or may not have ever been recorded and are conservation easements that are around our for instance, by our springs that we need to have, and I don't know if they ever got put in place correctly. We talked about it years ago. But those are really important because if someone builds there, there's property like when we were looking at our property, you know, we'll have the spring and then all around that is property that somebody could, build and affect the
So I
soil.
think is nobody's gonna be able to build there regardless, because if they're right next to our sphere of influence and our district boundaries, the health department and the state won't approve a well. And all we have to do to contest that is,
Hopefully, they proved it well,
but
they shouldn't have.
yeah, for one house, but if
Yeah.
development, it might actually affect it.
Can I make a motion
To extend,
to extend the meeting?
I'll second that, to finish business,
To
correct?
finish
And the
business?
motion's been made by Director Ryan, seconded by Director Schoenberg. Roll call directors, Director Garcia. Director Nyman.
Aye.
Director Schoenberg. Director Kelly. Gibson, I 500.
Okay, yeah, so anyway, I didn't want to keep you on longer. This is something we could definitely talk about later. I just brought it up to the board, for this because we do have so many properties that we need to address, so I know our pipeline is perfectly safe, putting new pipe in it, it's even required for us to keep our system up, so I didn't want to further complicate the pipeline project. So, thank you for all your help, Dee.
Thank you, Dee. Have a good night.
Okay, well, I'll hesitantly leave the meeting then. And,
All right, have a good
You
night.
you can go away now, Dee.
okay, have a good
Have a
evening.
good
Number 17, discussion vote on the policy for critical decisions. So I see that there's whatchamacallit.
Repeat it. Adopted October 13th, 2022. Fraser Park Public Utility District Board of Directors policy for making critical decisions. The Board of Directors of the Fraser Park Public Utility District understands that from time to time in the course of water company business, there are critical decisions, whether financial or otherwise, that need to be made in a timely manner. These decisions cannot always wait for inclusion in a regular scheduled board meeting. In these situations, the general manager, board president, or assigned ad hoc committees may call a special meeting in accordance with the provisions of Government Code, section 54956.
That seems super easy and to the point. Sounds great. Just putting it down on paper that if at any time we need to make an emergency decision, we can.
Director Schoenberg.
I'd like to move that we adopt this policy, the Fraser Park Public Utility District Board of Directors policy for making critical decisions. And we then include that in our policy, whatever that's called, our
Consent procedure.
yeah. Our whatever it's called, I can't think of it right now.
Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion's been made by Director Schellenberg and seconded by Director Garcia. We'll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schellenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. Review and approve meeting minutes for 7/7/2022 public hearing.
Yeah, we still haven't done.
Are you gonna,
I don't even think that was in my packet, was it?
I've given it out twice, so I'm trying not to.
Yeah, it's, we haven't had a full board to be able to vote on it, but because people are gone.
meetings that can vote?
If I,
Here,
But she can't make a motion.
right, okay, so I'm good with
Yeah.
it. That's okay.
So what do you gotta make the motion?
okay. I will move,
Vote on.
Oh, yeah.
So abstain.
yeah. Let me find the word because you don't like it when I say that. Okay. You know, you need to post that up on the board. I should. Put the word, yes.
Oh, goodness gracious. You know, you cut me into my bed. Steve.
I don't even see it.
Just wait.
I can do it, yeah, it's the back of 10,
Yeah, I see it now.
September 22nd.
Yeah,
Do the one with amendments,
I'll move that we approve the minutes. For the the hearing on the proposed increase. Base rate change and administrative fees. Increase in compliance with Article XIIIB of California State Constitution meeting. Meeting minutes for Thursday, July 7th, 2022. With the. With the.
this one right here.
With any of the amendments that were mentioned to Tiffany previous to the meeting. As well as any additional amendments. For typos or other errors that may not have been caught or may need to be corrected.
Just trying to get you to do this.
Are you gonna second it?
Can I add a friendly amendment to add the after the meeting? Little blurb, and I will second that if the motion maker is okay with
I'm
it.
okay with that.
Okay, a motion's been made by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Schellenberg. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia. I
Abstain.
think you gotta abstain, right?
Yeah,
Director Nyman,
Abstain.
Director Schellenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly.
aye.
Gibson, I,
I was
so
trying to
it's
remind you.
302 abstention. Okay. Meeting for 9/8/2022 regular meeting.
Oh, you want me to do it again?
Yes.
And you want me to read the third one? Okay. I move that we approve the minutes for the regular meeting for Thursday, September 8th, 2022. With any of the amendments that were sent to Tiffany previous to and after the meeting. As well as any additional amendments for typos or other errors that we may not have caught or that may need to be corrected.
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion's been made by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia. Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg,
Aye.
Director Kelly,
Aye.
Gibson, I 500. And now the 9/22/2022 regular state planning and project meeting.
I move that we approve the regular minutes for Thursday, September 22, 2022. With any of the amendments that were sent to Tiffany previous to and after the meeting, as well as any additional amendments for typos or other errors that we may not have caught or that may need to be corrected.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Garcia. Roll call of directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg. Director Kelly.
Aye.
Gibson is an abstention, so it's carried 4-0-1 abstain. So discussion vote on future agenda items. We're cool, right?
I think we're good.
Okay,
Oh, we didn't do the motion.
Good. But it was there. I'll make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
okay. Motion's been made by Director Kelly and seconded by Director Nyman. Roll call directors, Director Garcia,
Aye.
Director Nyman,
Aye.
Director Schoenberg, Director Kelly,
Aye.
Director Gibson is an aye. 5-0.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank
Thank you
you.
all.
Have a good night.
Yeah.
Good night, all. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Since you're taking Lisa home, I'll